Luisito, or familiarly called Luis, just woke up beside his wife, Leah. Luis and Leah often move from one place to another, and they have only lived in this city for about 10 months. When they were having breakfast, they saw the news on TV which reported that there was a mafia boss named El Calvo, who was still terrorizing the city. In fact, El Calvo was a suspect, and he should be in prison. The people who were interviewed by the media said that this country needed a La Soga to eliminate the criminals like El Calvo and the corrupt officials who work with him. La Soga is an assassin who is notorious and very well known in Latin America. Luis visited a church with Leah, then he was asked to give speeches to other church congregations. But when Luis walked to the pulpit, suddenly a stranger gave his business card to Luis. The man said that he had a job for Luis, and when Luis was on the pulpit, he was shocked to see La Soga written on the back of the business card. Luis tried to stay calm and he continued his speech. When he got home, Luis told his wife that his identity had been found out and they both had to leave this city immediately. Leah looked shocked to hear this, because she had just been accepted to work at a hospital as a nurse. Not only that, she had also felt at home living in this city. So the figure of La Soga, the very famous hitman in Latin America, is Luis. He had often moved from one place to another with Leah because they wanted to live a normal life like other people. But in the end, Leah, who loves Luis and knows the risks of being La Soga's wife, is willing to go. Luis apologized and thanked Leah because she wanted to be a good wife for him. After that, Luis told Leah to pack up their things while he would go to meet one of his friends who owed him money. Luis will use the money for the costs of moving to another city. Shortly, Luis visited his friend to collect the debt. He immediately said that he and his wife would leave this city soon, and he needed the money. Hearing this, Luis's friend, who is a shop owner, said that it was so sudden and he still didn't have the money. Luis said that he had to get the money now, otherwise his wife would definitely nag him. In the end, Luis's friend would try to ask his son for money, who just got paid. Luis's friend asked Luis to wait at his shop while he was going home for a while to meet his son. Not long after that, a suspicious man came into the shop. The man bought sanitary napkins and was about to pay, but suddenly he would attack Luis. Turns out the man was not alone. Luis immediately hiding, and he was forced to fight them brutally. Finally, Luis managed to finish off those two men, and he rushed home because he was sure that his wife would be in danger. When Luis got home, he saw the man who previously gave him a business card while in church, and the man's name is Riman. Here, Riman said that he had come to meet Luis to give him a mission. The two people who attacked Luis in the shop were Riman's men. Luis didn't care about it, and he just asked where his wife was now. Riman said that Leah was somewhere, and if Luis wanted his wife to be safe, then he had to carry out a mission from him. Hearing this, Luis became emotional and hurt Riman's hand. But in the end, Luis was forced to accept the mission because he didn't want his wife to be in danger. Riman explained that Luis's mission was to kill a man named El Calvo, a mafia boss who was reported on the television. That night in a club, a woman named Agnes was seducing a tanned man, and finally, the man fell into Agnes' seduction. Agnes invited him to have fun at a nearby hotel, but when they were about to leave by car, Agnes immediately strangled him. Agnes was a professional assassin who was carrying out a mission. Then she asked the man about Leah's whereabouts. The man was Riman's man, and he finally told Agnes about Leah's whereabouts because he couldn't stand the torture. But after the man told the truth, Agnes immediately killed him. The next morning, Riman met his subordinate at a house. Here, Riman was angry with his man because he was guarding Leah alone, even though Riman had assigned 3 of his men. And this is where they took Leah hostage. When Riman checked on Leah, he was angry again because his men had given her sleeping pills. Riman said that if something bad happened to Leah, then they would all be slaughtered by La Soga. For this reason, Riman asked his men to be careful in looking after Leah. Some time later, after Riman left, suddenly Agnes came. Agnes seduced Riman's man, and she immediately attacked him. Agnes went inside the house, immediately took Leah. Shortly, Riman gathered all his men, and he was very angry because Leah had been kidnapped by someone else. Riman said that they had to finish off Luis when he had completed his mission, because if Luis found out that his wife was not there, he would hunt them down. Meanwhile, Luis was still looking for El Calvo, his target. But at the same time, some of El Calvo's men suddenly approached Luis. Here, El Calvo's men said that El Calvo wanted to meet with Luis, discussing important matters. Luis didn't fight, and he wanted to be taken to El Calvo's place. In the end, Luis met El Calvo, the mafia boss and the biggest drug dealer in this city. Meanwhile, Agnes had been watching them all along. She even had kept a tapper in that place. El Calvo told Luis that he felt very hurt towards the officials, including a senator. All this time, El Calvo has provided quite large funds to the officials and the senators to participate in regional elections. However, after they won the election, they actually wanted to get rid of El Calvo. He was still alive today because he had an important document which he kept in a drive, and these documents contain evidence of all the crimes of corrupt officials and also data on the bribes they received. Luis asked what it had to do with him, and why did El Calvo tell him all that? It turned out that El Calvo wanted Luis to keep the flash drive because he knew that Luis was the La Soga, a murderer who liked to slaughter corrupt officials. El Calvo hoped that tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, Luis would finish off these corrupt officials. On the other hand, Agnes was very shocked and did not expect that Luis was the La Soga, the hitman who was glorified by everyone, and he was now in front of her. Agnes immediately killed El Calvo and several of his men, because El Calvo was indeed one of the targets that Agnes had to kill. Luis immediately rushed away, and he had to face the guards who thought that Luis had just finished off El Calvo. When Luis came out of the place, Agnes told him to get into her car. After they had gone quite far, Luis asked Agnes whether it was her who had shot El Calvo. Agnes admitted it because she was the same as Luis, an assassin. Hearing this, Luis said that he had stopped being a hitman a long time ago. Luis asked again why Agnes wanted to save him, then Agnes said that she felt proud to be able to save a legendary man like La Soga. After that, Luis tried to contact Riemann to inform him that El Calvo was dead and he wanted Leah to be freed immediately. But unfortunately, Riemann couldn't be contacted. Agnes was still hiding that Luis's wife was now with her, not with Riemann. Sometime later, Luis contacted Riemann again, and this time, the phone was connected. Luis said that his mission was complete and Raymond had to return her immediately. Riemann then asked Luis to meet him behind the empty factory an hour later. At the same time, Leah was still being held hostage by Agnes in a basement. Agnes said that she had a reason to kill Leah and Luis. Long story short, in the empty factory, 3 of Riemann's men were sent to kill Luis. So when Luis appeared, they immediately shot at him. One of Riemann's men tried to check, but it was just Luis's trap and Luis immediately finished him off. Then Luis killed another of Riemann's men easily, leaving only one more person. In the end, Luis managed to corner the man and then asked about Leah's whereabouts. He said that he was only paid by Riemann to kill Luis and he didn't know anything about Luis's wife. So without thinking twice, Luis finished off that man. After that, Luis decided to go back to his house. He saw a photo of his wife, then remembered the memories of the past. At that time, Leah was the only person who wanted to accept Luis as he was, even though she knew very well that Luis was the La Soga. Luis and Leah actually really wanted to have children after getting married and living in this city. Not long after that, Agnes came over to Luis. She said that she had just finished off Riemann's men who were outside. But 5 minutes later, 2 Riemann's men came again until a shootout broke out.
Whoa! Shit!
In the middle of the battle, Luis' hand was shot, before they were completely slaughtered by Luis and Agnes. After that, Agnes invited Luis to go to her house, treating his wounds. While Luis was being treated at Agnes' house, Agnes tried to seduce Luis, but Luis refused because he didn't want to betray his wife. The next day, Riemann was about to run out of town, but suddenly Luis appeared, pointing a gun. At the same time, Agnes visited Leah, who was still being held captive in the basement. Agnes said that she could finish off Luis at any time, but she really wanted to see Luis suffer before she finished him off. Hearing this, Leah begged Agnes not to hurt Luis because he had repented a long time ago and didn't want to be a brutal person again. It was revealed that Agnes' reason to make Luis suffer was because he was the La Soga. Agnes had been looking for La Soga for a long time because he was the person who killed her father. When Agnes was a kid, her father was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and because he was corrupt, he was killed by La Soga. So now, Agnes would take revenge. Meanwhile, Luis was interrogating Riemann, asking what he really wanted. Riemann said that he really wanted El Calvo's flash drive to blackmail the officials, and Luis asked again where Leah was now. After being tortured many times, Riemann finally said that Leah was kidnapped by someone else. Riemann promised to help Luis find Leah as long as Luis was willing to let him go. Luis agreed, as long as in a matter of 10 seconds, Riemann could walk out the door. Seeing that the door was quite close, Riemann was sure he could get through it very easily. But when Riemann was about to walk, Luis suddenly shot his legs. Riemann continued to try to get out, because he knew that La Soga would never break his promise. But unfortunately, Raymond didn't make it through the door, and Louis finished him off. After that, Louis got a message from Agnes, asking him to come because all this time, she was the one who had kidnapped Leah. Arriving at that place, Louis saw 3 homeless men playing music. Louis didn't care about them and immediately went inside. Not long after, Agnes met Louis with one of the corrupt senator's men. Agnes said that she could have finished off Louis from yesterday, but she wanted to see Louis suffer. Not long after, Leah appeared, still being held hostage. Agnes told Louis to surrender and not fight back if he wanted to save Leah. While Louis was being tortured, suddenly an old man, who was a corrupt senator, came. Turns out, Agnes had been working for him. The senator took a flash disk containing evidence of the official's crimes, including evidence of his crimes. After taking the flash disk, the senator told Agnes to let them both go, because the matter was finished. The senator also knew that Louis was no longer La Soga, who liked to kill corrupt officials. But Agnes said that her business with Louis wasn't over yet, because she had a personal grudge against Louis for the death of her father. After that, Agnes put 1 bullet into the gun and then fired at Leah. The first shot didn't work. Then Agnes tried again and it hit Leah's head. Agnes, with her satisfaction, said that Leah was pregnant. The senator and his men left, because their business was finished, while Louis looked very depressed. Agnes approached Louis, saying that she would paralyze Louis's legs and arms so that he would be the one who suffered a lot. But at the same time, Louis was able to untie his hands, then fought back. The senator and his men had not gone far enough, and they tried to attack Louis, but Louis finished off the senator's men first. Louis approached the senator and said that he would return to being La Soga, a person who slaughters corrupt officials, including the senator. Long story short, Louis visited Leah's grave. Here he poured out all his heart because Leah would never be replaced by anyone. Louis left and promised to slaughter all the corrupt officials because through that flash disk, he knew who the corrupt officials were.